Welcome to KSOK Uncensored. Tonight's guest is Derek Johnson, the only wounded warrior to chart in the top 50 Billboard with not just one song, but two. The songs are Real Cool, Kinda Hot, and Right Beer, Right Now. Wait for the video. We're going to play it right now for you.
And throw it back, head to the bottom of an ice cold glass. I'll worry about tomorrow when it comes around. I'm just living right here, right now.
I love it. Oh, I thought we were going to play the whole thing. I was in it. How's it going, Derek?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing great. I'm so happy to have you on here. I have to say, you are an interesting individual, to say the least. I loved researching you. Everything I read, I was just like, no way, that's amazing. That's so cool. Literally, I'm not bluffing. You have so much to you. Not only you, but your family history is incredible. So I'm excited to dive into this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So let's talk about first and foremost, you've had two singles go to the charts. What did that feel like? Because that was not your initial goal in life or your initial career objective. Did this fall in your lap, or how did you get where you are today?
I mean, it's kind of actually is the polar opposite. I didn't plan on doing what I'm doing now, even though I was prepared for it. But yeah, I mean, I had a grandfather who was roommates with Hank Williams Sr. In Mobile, Alabama, before Hank Williams was ever known to the world. And I grew up, learning guitar from my grandfather and really idolizing my grandfather. My grandpa played on the same tour circuits back in the 40s and the early 50s before he married and settled down. And so I kind of, I fed off all the stories of Hank Snow and Red Foley and a lot of artists that most guys my age can't even name. And so, I just had this dream of seeing my name on the chart. And of course, I grew up on part of my life on a big old cattle ranch. And my hero was George Strait. So, it's kind of like, you idolize them in a different way, but you want to knock them off in another. So,
Yes.
my grandpa always said, if you never dream, you're never going to know. And a lot of people dream, but yet, moving to Nashville was an eye opener, and learning how all the dirty politics there and figuring that out. And I was just blessed to meet all the right people. I disciplined my life and structured my life to where I kind of like horses in the city where they have blinders on. That's for a reason, is to stay focused on what you're doing. And a lot of people in Nashville start looking at what everybody else is doing, and that's where they get off track. But I just happened to land the perfect producers, the perfect team. We all had the same vision. We all had the same goals. And next thing yeah, I mean, and of course it wasn't top 20 or top 10, but, top 40 as an independent is very hard to do. So
That's a huge achievement.
Yeah.
That's a huge achievement. And so I want to touch on something. You mentioned discipline, and I feel the same with you. You have to have that to be successful in life. There's a lot of dreamers out there, but are they willing to put the work in, right? So did growing up, fifth generation farmer, did growing up on a farm help you achieve this determination and this drive to actually achieve? He's telling
I'm
his
I'm live in there. Yeah.
Hey,
There's a
real
guy
life,
came in.
right?
He's like, yeah, real life guy came in. He's yelling in here. Uh,
You're like, yeah. There could be a cafe brawl right here live on KSOK Uncensored,
right here,
literally
exactly.
uncensored. I would ask you to turn the camera around for that. That would be really exciting, actually. I
Hey,
only go to hockey
hey,
fights for the fights. I'm your gal for that kind of stuff. But Derek, growing up on a farm, fifth generation farmer, I'm sure that helped you achieve what you've achieved today.
Well, yeah, because when you have a dad like I had, he's one of those. It's like you're going to get your chores done, and he taught you discipline and structure of that too. But also, it wasn't as hard as it could have been. He let me out as long as I played on the golf team. He was like real happy about that. So I got to get out of a lot of stuff by doing what he wanted me to do on other spectrums, which was keep my grades up. And then he wanted me to play golf, and I wanted to play golf. And I was a captain of the golf team and all that. So that got me out of a lot of chores that I would have normally had to done. But as long as I was hitting golf balls and practicing, that got me out a lot. But yeah, I mean, I still, I still rolled hay in the summertime, and with a great uncle who was still old school. We did square bells and things of that nature. So it teaches you a lot about what you could be doing versus what you're blessed, like what you and I get to do, which is, I don't take that for granted. So,
Right, right,
and the goal is always to get off the farm, right? And so,
right.
but your practice ethics is what gets you to places like that. I have a relative that played pro football for 14 years, and he said he would never go to the farm again. So he practiced the way he played, and his practice ethic is what made him stay in the pros for so long. So it's kind of
Yes.
one of those things where, I made sure whatever I was doing that I wouldn't have to go back to that. So I listened to my dad.
Yeah,
So
smart. Well, I hear, or I read when researching you that you actually turned down a golf scholarship and your dad didn't talk to you for 5 months.
oh boy, maybe more like 6 months, but yeah, well, because he always had me in golf schools as I was growing up, and he put a lot of money into those schools. And I enjoyed it per se, but I always knew that I wanted to be a country music artist. And it wasn't until like after I think the second hit that he actually was like, you know what, I commend you for. I commend you for sticking to your guns, but it took a long time for him to even admit that. So he was still kind of,
Yeah.
but he
Hey,
still
I'm
does it
glad.
every now and then. He'll gig me when he sees like Justin Thomas, who played at Alabama on tour. He said that could have been you, but
Oh
I
boy.
think you're happy now. So
Yeah, yeah. And I think chicks dig a country singer more than a golf player. That's just my personal opinion. But
well, yeah,
so good move in
yeah,
that way too. I want to
yeah,
go
maybe
back
so.
to something that is so cool in my opinion. I'm sure many. Your grandpa was roommates with Hank Sr. Hank Jr. is one of my favorite artists of all time. When I went to
Oh,
his concert, that was like I told my husband, I'm like, that was one of the best days of my life, right up there with the wedding. Like, I love Hank Jr., so I'm
Hank Williams
curious.
Jr. I love that.
I mean, come on, he's amazing, hands down, but so I'm curious, your personal opinion, Hank Sr. or Hank Jr., who do you like better? Music
oh
style-wise.
man, oh man. You know, I love the good raw nature of Hank Sr. because he always said if you couldn't write a song in 20 minutes, then it ought to not be written. Now that's pretty harsh, and that was back in the day when it was a 1-3, 1-4-5, or just your regular, structure. But now I love me some Bocephus now. Like I can,
Yes.
like the other day I had a Bocephus like day, and I turned on Born to Boogie, and I turned on Dixie on My Mind, and all those. So it's like I think it's whatever mode you're in, right? But
Yes.
Bo Cephas, he's underrated. Really, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. A lot of people don't know what happened, and his mother trying to make him Little Hank, and then I actually know the guy who went and talked to him when he fell off the mountain. I worked for Bob Saporiti, great guy. He was the head of Warner Brothers for 17 years, and he was the one that went to Hank, said, Hank, I don't care how you live your life. You do what you want to do. You're Hank Williams Jr. And he was like, with all due respect, your mother's already gone now. You can do whatever you want to do. And he's the one that launched Bocephus and launched the rowdy, rock and rowdy Hank. So Hank Jr. just
Amazing.
he gets so overlooked because of his
Yeah.
politics too and his political views, but the dude can play everything: saxophone, drums, lead guitar, piano, and all to the like you know the greatest levels
Yeah.
possible. And he
Yeah,
just gets
I'm a huge
overlooked. So,
fan. I agree, a
so I guess
huge
I'll go with
fan.
Bocephus.
Yeah, I'm like, I think I know your answer. Yeah, no, amazing, amazing. Every time I hear "A Country Boy Can Survive," I live here in Portland, Oregon, and so I
Oh,
blast that song around so people can hear. And it's like, is that? I mean, that song gives me chills because we're like at that point today, and especially here where I live. But I blast that thing. It's definitely you want people to hear. Like, yeah, I might survive. I'm a little bit outside of Portland, Oregon. Oregon. Don't get me wrong. I'm like not right downtown, but we have some skills that
I love Portland.
all these folks don't. It was nice. It's it's gone downhill in the last couple of years, but it's still a nice area. But all right, so I have your answer on that. That's really cool. Your ties to President Lyndon B. Johnson, I mean, that's incredible as well. He has a colorful history, right? If people know their history, they might not agree with some of his politics, but the fact that family lines lead you there, does that ever come up in conversation with people?
No, and my dad's like, don't talk about that, because we
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
claim him.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but my
that's funny. I
grandpa,
know.
yeah, my grandpa, he was like, look at his ears. It's like we're known for big ears in our family, and that was the one thing. But we know our family traces back to uh, whenever everybody split. There was a split in our family where they left North Carolina and they went to Texas, Georgia, and Alabama. And so he's way down the line, but still my dad's like, don't talk about him. We don't
Yeah,
claim him.
I
And I'm
can
like,
see
Dad,
why.
I mean, yeah,
I'm like, knowing your politics, at least, the little bit I do, I'm like, wow, that must be interesting. Yes, I have a
man.
specific moment in time that really rings, and I won't go there. But yeah, very interesting. Okay. So I also want to tie in this is so cool, and not many people can say this. So your family, so you're a true son of the revolution, and for people that don't necessarily know the term, your family has fought in every conflict dating back to the Revolutionary War to present day. That I mean, how many people in the United States can say that today? Not many.
Yeah, I wouldn't know the number on that, but it can't be that many to every single conflict all the way back. So uh,
Yeah, that's wild. So okay, so starting with that, understanding you served in the Army, is that part of what drove you to enroll or to enlist, excuse me? What drove you there, and how do you feel about it now? You've served your country, you were wounded, and now people appreciate your service so much, and you're able to speak out because you have this platform with country music now. But let's talk about your service and really your family that led you there.
well, yeah, I mean, all my family members, like my dad, my uncle, my great uncles, uncles plural, and then grandpa, great grandfather, and then of course knowing the lineage back. But um, I really had, without bringing up religion too much here, but I really had a God calling to go in the military. I had gone to college already. I had already moved to Nashville. So I was a little older than your typical age that would enlist. I enlisted with a degree. They call us a Mustang, where it's like you go in. Typically, when you do that, you're going in for experience and then drop your officer packet later. I didn't get to do that. I was severely injured before then, but it was one of those moments where I was praying to God, like, where do you want me to go? It's not working where I'm at now, and if you'll lead me, I'll go. And so when I went to military, it was a true calling from that standpoint. It was the best thing I ever did because you learn so much about life that you thought you knew and you didn't really know. You grow up a lot more in ways. You may have been mature in a lot of ways, but wherever you're at, it'll elevate you. Wherever
Right.
you're weak at, it'll bring that up. And then you learn a lot about people. You learn about cultures. You even learn about in America. We have so many different cultures in America that people don't even realize. And you just learn a different way of communication. You learn a different way of respect for different walks and lives. And then you also learn too, like, and I already knew this per se, but like it's like you're fighting for such a bigger thing, and you're a part of a team. It's not about you anymore. It's about everybody around you, and when everybody has that same mentality, then it shows you a different perspective of life. And the military is supposed to fight for humanity as a whole, not individual select groups, even though individual select groups fall under those categories.
Right.
But I think people lose that, and we got to get that back in service too. And unfortunately, enlisted don't teach you history. It don't teach you the Constitution. It doesn't teach any of that. We've actually embraced more of a what Eisenhower talked about, the industrial complex, the military industrial complex, where it's all about war and all about money and all about lobbyists and all about defense contracts. And that's not what our military was created for. Our military was actually created to prevent wars, not start them. And we've
Right.
got a culture that we've got to really dig into and change. And I witnessed that while I was in. So there was a lot of things that I know now why God put me there. I also know why He cut my service short, because
Mm,
I wouldn't be able to tell America what I'm telling now, because I'd have been under oath and under national security, and wouldn't have been able to talk. So it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Even though at the time I didn't realize it when I got cut short, I didn't realize, and I did. I got into like a depressed state of mind. I started,
sure.
kind of poor me, and putting it on myself. A lot of good, a lot of bad. But when I realized what God was doing, I was like, oh wow, like because I actually stumbled on all these answers via looking up, trying to figure out what the heck happened in 2013 and 2014 by laws and orders, what was going on. And then I realized, wow, God, I think He's using me, and next thing you know, I'm sitting here talking to you, and different
Right.
people. So
Right. That's amazing. And also feel free, religion is completely on the table here. I am a Christian. I know our producer is also, so I am very welcoming of that. So I'm glad you talked about that because it's important. And it
definitely.
really it drives what we do, right? I mean, I'm coming from a 20-year banking leader career. All I wanted to do my entire career was climb the ladder and make it to CEO, right? And 2 or 3 years ago, I realized that is so bottom of the barrel for me today. It's not impacting the greater population, which is what I want to do today, which is speaking out and telling the truth. And so I'm with you. I feel called in that sense to get the truth out. And I feel that God has absolutely been the one driving that. So I completely see where you're coming from in that regard. I wanted to ask you about, with music and being in the military and being wounded, has music been a way to heal from that?
Oh, absolutely. And there's also programs out there that I've been, asked to be a part of. Now being the artist with the hits, to participate with veterans and help write songs, whatever they want to write about. And so I've kind of, try to focus, take the highlight off of me being the veteran. And shift it over now and use my platform that God gave me to actually help other veterans. Like one of the outfits that I'm with. It's called Iron Men Ministries, talking about Christians. It's a bunch of Christian men. Some of them are not veterans, but the one guy, Festus, is a veteran, and so we just raised $1,000 for them just a couple weeks ago on one little podcast. And so I've tried to kind of, I kind of do what George Strait did. A lot of people don't even know George Strait is an Army veteran as well. And I'm trying to like shift out of that mode and go into like, okay, kind of like make it a surprise when people find out that I'm a veteran. But at the same time, yeah, writing has helped me a lot. And I write all my stuff now. My first album, the Real Cool Kind of Hot album, was like 6 songs. I didn't write any of those. We had to come out real heavy with major hit writers. And my producer actually wrote on Real Cool Kind of Hot. But I have been writing on the side and writing with a lot of. I've been blessed, thank goodness, because the old joke in Nashville is you had to write 100 songs to get one great song. And I've been
Wow.
blessed to get to write with so many hit writers that I've got to like write a lot of great songs without having to write a bunch of crap songs. But even the crap songs that I've written, it does. It's just a way to put it on paper. And if someone doesn't like it, then great, because it was for me, or whatever it
Yes.
was. But yeah, it really does, because it gets your mind thinking, and then when you're on a guitar, piano, whatever you're on, then you got to come up with a different sound. So you're doing two or three different things at once, which is great for anybody, not just a veteran, but anybody who's struggling out there to whatever you're facing, whatever you're going through. Sit down, even if you can't play a piano or I wrote a song one day that the girl I produced a girl named Bree Hopkins, and I played it for her, and she was like, "Oh my God, I gotta have this song." And I'm like, "Yeah, we can do better than that." And she's like, "Oh no, 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 I gotta have this song." And I'm like, It's not that good a song." But I wrote this song when I was depressed and could not find my way. I never played in drop D in my whole life. I'm not a guitarist by like Guitar Spectrum, and I just tune it down. I'm like, okay, I Googled how do you do this. And I'm like, I was feeling like, drop D is one of those real dark kind of chords. I've never played in it before. I wrote a song while I had turned to drinking during that time period really bad before I became a Christian. And, to this day, I can't play the song. To be honest with you, like on guitar, like someone else more accomplished
Right.
has to do it. But I wrote this song, and my buddy that I sent it to, I said, "Can you do a demo of this for me? I have no idea what I did." And he's like, "Sure." Well, he was like, "Dude, what were you doing?" And I'm like, "You don't want to know." I
Yeah.
mean, I was in Hank Jr.'s terms, I guess, stoned. And I don't like using that in other ways, but it's the truth. And it got pitched to Garth Brooks. One of my other buddies loved it that much. It got sent to
Wow.
Garth. And then Bree ended up just begging me for it, and she recorded it. She just released it March the 1st. It's called Still Be You. And I wrote it about my girlfriend who had passed while I was in the military. And
Wow.
I just, I couldn't cope in a different. So there's a prime example. And I still can't play the song to this day, as far as like, I have to really like study my own song chord wise. But there's a prime example of, how God can use lyrics in a
Right.
song. And now I've had so many people go, "Man, that's a beautiful song," and it
That's
reminded them of
incredible.
someone they lost or something.
Wow. So it
So
just poured out of you in a sense.
it did. I mean, it's if I would not have recorded it right then and right there, I don't know if I'd have remembered it.
Right,
So
right. Wow.
yeah.
That's an incredible story. That's very powerful. I want to talk about something that I'm not sure if you've seen this. I don't want to put you on the spot, but the movie Ranger recently came out, and it's about an Army Ranger, and it's won so many awards, been nominated for so many, and it's definitely worth checking out. But it really gives you an in-depth look into PTSD and just really the mindset of someone who's boots on ground there. And so that really opened my eyes to, we see all of the suicide rates for veterans. We see those numbers, but to actually understand why that is occurring has been really eye-opening. So for anyone listening, check out that movie Ranger. I'm trying to get got the main character here on the show, but so it's wild to be able to get inside the mind of someone who has seen and witnessed these things. So I really appreciate your service, and I'm so glad that you found country music as a way to really work through everything that you have witnessed and lived through. And I'm so glad that you have been so successful so quickly. That's amazing. I was looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, this career is really short so far. And he's doing so well. He's so successful. So, like you said, the right people, you have God there guiding you, you have the right people working with you. It's a team. Incredible. And I want to talk about something because I know that part of what you're interested in is really educating people on U.S. laws and the Constitution. Like you said, the military doesn't even do that with people who have enlisted. So it's wild to me. I don't know if you've seen these guys that go around interviewing people, but they're interviewing them and they're asking them like, how many states is in the United States? And these are people that live here and they don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, how many stripes on the flag? They have no idea. I mean, it gets even worse. What continent are we standing on right now? They have no idea. It's disgusting. And these are people that are in like, the average public school, bigger cities, and they have no clue. And so, and there's so many people that are aware of those things, but they don't know U.S. laws. They don't know their constitutional rights. So how are you ensuring that you're educating people along the way, and what resources do you feel are out there that people can check into if they're not quite sure what their rights are?
Well, yeah, I mean, like there's a percentage I always use on every show I do. 75% of America can't even name the three branches of government, so we're definitely been in trouble. And so, how do you separate propaganda? First off, is how you separate propaganda and politics from government and simplicities of government and the simplicities of our life and how we're affected daily. So that's what I've been doing, and but it's you kind of have to step on some toes every now and then because it's kind of like military. Military, we have that mindset of like, well, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. This is just how it is, right? Because how did a group of men in the Revolutionary War go enough's enough? Like, what was the definitive moment that made the Revolutionary War so different than every other war? They fought wars before that. So it's showing people that. So sometimes you have to be direct, you have to be structured and disciplined. So, recently I've shown people how Donald Trump is legally still your president and legally still the commander in chief by laws and orders. He can't argue with that. It's in writing. How do you show that the laws are being applied and upheld? Well, I got a flight app that I look at every single day right here on my old mixtape, and but it's a flight app, and it shows you that the National Guard are out of their state jurisdictions every single day. Well, the only person who can federalize the National Guard active duty, president. When did that happen? Donald Trump, March 2020. So that's a law. That was also a direct military order, and he made it a federal law. And that law is out to 2024. So the first thing people need to know is your tools. What are your tools, right? Well, if 75% of America can't name the three branches of government, they definitely don't know who their lawmakers are and who writes the laws, who passes the laws, and who interprets the laws. And we're a nation of laws and orders. So the first thing people need to do is, when you saw President Trump holding up a little piece of paper and he said, this is this executive order here. Well, in 2 or 3 days, it was published in what they call the Federal Register.gov. If it's not a .gov site or a .mil site, you probably don't want to look at it, because .com, .net, .this, .that don't do anything for you except for propaganda, right?
Exactly.
And I tell people all the time, if you don't like Donald Trump, great, remove him and look at the position, because it still doesn't matter. And like right now, so many people, Congress is under a continuity of government in the Federal Register.gov. The Directive 1 ran from 2018 to 22, and the other one is running from 2020 to 2024. And it shows you how all three branches of government are under a continuity of government. So, you have to go look at that. And then, it's kind of like the John Wayne quote, I'm only responsible for what I say, not for what you understand, right? Because I can't make people read, and then I can't make people understand it. But we have so many people who are used to drama. They're used to politics. They're used to this, and as we know, you probably, I don't do it, but as often as I used to, but I'll get on Facebook every now and then just to look at comments. And people arguing in a comment box on something that has a short shelf life, when if they take that same attitude and that same passion and know who to go complain to, which would be the lawmaker, then we could get more stuff done. This ain't going to do it.
Exactly. So, I know. It's fun to watch them battle it out. I'll drop a video and then people just battle it out in the comments. I never get involved, but you're so right. And I started putting the truth out there, but then I started switching to okay, here's an action item. Here's what's happening. Now here's what you do about it. And I needed to switch. It took me a year to really get on board with, okay, action item, get involved with your local government, right? So I think that's incredible that you're speaking out on that. And something, I know I have a few seconds left here, but this guy also has 2 degrees. One is an MBA. So on top of everything else that you've achieved, you have that on you as well. You're an incredible person. Where can people find you?
So you can find me on thedocuments.info. That's the documents, plural, thedocuments.info, the 1776nation.com, and then 1776 Nation on Facebook. Normally you can find all my other links on there to go to Telegram, whatever you're on, True Social, things of that nature. So all my links are posted on those. And then my music, DerrickJohnsonCountry.com. I've almost forgot about my career, so anyway.
I know. I'm like, wait, are you going to plug your music or what? Nice. I know. I went and got some of your songs too before this. I was listening to them. They're excellent. I love your style. I'm a 90s country gal, and I get that vibe from you. So really fun. Go check it out. Thank you so much for coming on. You are incredible, and thank you for everything that you've done and continue to do.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for saying that, and thank you for what you do too. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a wonderful evening, and we'll be in touch.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Derrick. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Always a great guest on KSOK Uncensored. We'll see you next Thursday.
You can catch me tailgating, sits packing that quitting time, or uptown in my best boots, sipping suds on a Friday night. It don't take no deep thoughts just a little going with the flow. Words just about anywhere, and this is how it goes. I just pick one up and throw it back, head to the bottom of an